there was this sort of internet sensation that took place called the Uniform Project. And it was this young woman, Sheena Mathaken, who decided that she was going to wear this little black dress. It was called, basically, a lot of people knew it as the Little Black Dress Project. She would wear this little black dress for 365 days. And she would photograph herself every single day. She called it they were the dailies.
I think I remember that.
She photographed herself, and it had this, like, talk about evolution. You know, it started out with this very simple dress that she had designed, and she'd worked with a designer and helped design it. And it was, you know, had a lot of versatility to it, and it was, you know, simple but unique. And so she was going to show how she was wearing it throughout a whole entire year. Well, the idea was also that she was going to try and raise money for a children's school organization in India.
Yeah.
So throughout this year, it literally just sort of took off. Now, granted, she had a design background, so the website, the blog was really cool, and she did a great job, and she was, you know, a clever writer, and, you know, she was fun to look at, and she lived in New York City, and talk about, like, some serious brand activation and engagement. She ended up with, I'm trying to remember, 200,000 unique visitors in 1 year. She ended up on NPR, the Today Show. I mean, it went viral. It went crazy. And at the end of that year, of course, with all that success, it was, well, what do we do with this?
Right.
We should do something with this. I know. Let's make the dress and sell it. And so they decided they were going to make the dress and they were going to sell it. And at some point they decided, okay, we need to kind of, like, get an idea, a business plan going around this, and we need some guidance. And so I came on board. Fast forward.
Cool.
I came on board as their advising CEO, and the first question I asked was, okay, so we've got dresses, they're kind of selling. We've got this website. We had all these people come to it. What are we feeding them now? You know, and they started doing this, like, little black dress challenge, and they would, like, pick somebody and have them do it for 30 days, and they would design a dress for them, and then they'd make that dress for sale, and it all sounded really good. But I had to, like, pull back and say, all right, do we know what problem we're solving and who we're solving it for? Because if we're looking to go out to VCs, ask for money to invest in this company so that we can do this line of little black dresses, we really need to be able to answer for ourselves, much less for them, what problem we're solving and who are we solving it for. And as we started to dive deeper into this, you know, the idea of why did 200,000 people show up? Why did they show up? Might have been more than 200,000. Might have been 2 million. I'm like totally blanking right now. Anyhow, but why did they show up? It wasn't just for voyeuristic curiosity of watching Sheena change her clothes every day. I mean, that's interesting, but that's not why they showed up. And once we could define what problem we're solving, who we're solving for, we needed to know why these people showed up. And we kind of dissected all of it and started looking at, you know, the feedback that we got and the emails and the content that we had, and realized that there were sort of 3 primary things that people were looking to solve, at least this audience, and to some degree in their lives, like almost anybody. Do more with less.
I love it. Yeah.
You know, not sacrifice style, you know, while sacrificing, while, like, still expressing themselves, and how to, like, you know, make doing good part of doing business. And once we identified that was the problem that we were solving, then we had to figure out who are we solving it for. So there was our primary, secondary, and tertiary solution that we were solving. And so then we realized, well, it was a lot of DIYers that, you know, they love to make their own clothes or make their own jewelry or whatever it is. A lot of DIYers, a lot of savvy moms, a lot of savvy moms that want to look good. They don't want to sacrifice, you know, style while sort of doing more with less.
Yeah.
And travelers, women travelers.
Wow.
I mean, you know, you go on a long trip, what are you going to pack? A whole bunch of black.
Right. Oh, that makes total sense.
So by pulling back from something that had been already going for like 2 years, and saying, okay, wait a second, what problem solving, who we solving. That allowed us then to be able to develop our pitch, to go to VCs, to, you know, continue to kind of move forward in what it was that we were trying to do. So long story made short, that's the one thing that I would challenge almost anybody to just stop. And that's what I mean by most people, they get this great idea and they dive face first into the business aspect, and the brand ethos takes a back seat.
That is
and
such a fact.
if you're finding that you're sort of like hitting a wall in some area, it might be time to just push pause and do a deep dive on that. And what may come out of that is an opportunity for more offerings, a clearer sense of what your brand does, an opportunity to rebrand, you know?
Clear brand direction and all that. I'm so curious, like after you defined this for that brand, like what did they decide? Like how did you take it further? Is that public
So
knowledge?
that's kind of interesting. I was wondering if you were going to ask me that question. I'm like, ooh, do I tell her now or do I wait and see if she asks that question? To tell you the truth, what we really identified was that it went against the brand's mission to be making more stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Because the point of her deciding to take this 365-day challenge was around sustainability.
Right.
That you don't need more stuff. That you can live basically with one dress and a bunch of different accessories or whatever, layering pieces for 365 days. The point was around sustainability, and that sustainability doesn't mean sacrificing expression. So doing more with less doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice expression. And when we started looking at, oh my God, what are we doing? We're making more stuff.
Right, you're contradicting, I know.
This is totally contradicting. And what people really, really, really wanted, what they really, really wanted was to be able to take their own little black dress challenge. We had people contacting us. They're like, I did a little black dress challenge and I raised this much and I did one. And we're like, you know what? This is a social platform. Let people do what they want to do. They were inspired. Let them do that. Don't sell them stuff.
That's amazing.
So it was actually kind of a relief for everybody that we were like, this isn't on brand. Let's just let this be what it needs to be. And so it kind of freed everybody up to go do something else.
That's really cool. So what did it turn into? Did it still kind of like tie into the whole kind of charity thing and sustainability promoting? Like, did they take that somewhere, this whole platform?
Yeah. So we rebuilt the website so that it could be a social platform and people could come on and, you know, sort of post their own little black dress challenges that they had been doing and raising money for whatever it is that they wanted to raise. And, you know, we could have probably taken it from there and developed like a nonprofit organization that sort of like a caring bridge and that would allow people to sort of, you know, run their funds through there or have a place where people could come and donate and that kind of thing. And we probably could have taken it that direction or partnered up with somebody like a caring bridge. But quite honestly, we all ended up going off and doing, I mean, she'd been basically postponing getting married for a couple of years because she was so busy with us. I was like, go get married. Go get married. And now they're traveling the world. He's a filmmaker. And now they're traveling the world promoting the second film that they just did. And, you know, going to all these film festivals. And they're doing really great stuff. So,
that's cool.
So sometimes letting something go and mean, you know, doing something else. So.
I love it. That's really cool. And I guess it kind of goes back to that what you're doing, like you always have to be kind of in line with your passion. At least that's what I believe. Like if you're losing that connection and if you, as you say, like it wasn't on brand anymore, it wasn't her original vision, then you're kind of doing something, you're losing steam anyway. And it's like, I mean, we only live once, at least I think. It's like you want to live, like it makes sense. That's a great story and great inspiration to also not just be focused on money and success and all that stuff. I like to say, really find what's important to you and all that. That's great. Is that website still live? Do you know? Or what was the URL? I forgot about that.
It was theuniformproject.org, and now that I'm thinking about it, yes, I think it is still alive because she's done like a TED Talk. Hold on, I'm looking it up as we talk. And She's done a TED Talk in Dubai. She's done, I think she just did
Oh,
another
totally have
one.
to link that with
Um,
this video. That would be amazing.
there it
Such a
is.
great
Yep.
example.
Yeah, I mean, I think now it's more just like a collection. Yeah, um, there are the other dailies of people that took their own challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and there's her TED Talk on there, and there's
Yeah.
some, great little, um, yeah, some fun little videos.
Yeah.
There's also patterns that you can make your own little black dress from the pattern that she used,
Very
and
cool.
so,
Very
yeah,
cool. Thank you so much for sharing this really, really
yeah, yeah.
interesting example. I love it. Totally love it.
Yeah, it's an interesting, it's a really interesting example because it's sort of one of those things like, you know, having 2 million unique visitors show up in a year. I mean, it's kind of like if you build it, they will come. But then again, when they show up, and this is something that I've heard more than once from people that get their products discovered by Oprah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like everybody wants to be featured in Oprah magazine, but when it happens, are you going to be ready?
Yeah. What do
Like,
you do with it? Yeah. That's.
is your website going to crash?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was one of the things that, we had to keep looking at is what if
Mm-hmm.
the website crashes because
Right.
she's on the Today Show or whatever.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy, right?
yeah,
I,
yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a good problem to have, but if you screw it up, if you're not ready, it can really be devastating to a brand. And I've
right,
seen it
right.
happen.
I totally, yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think that also kind of brings up another thought too, is like, do you really want to go this big? Is that your aspiration? Because
Right.
I've met a lot of people
Yeah.
too that come to me, clients, and they're like, oh, I want to become as big as like one of the biggest retailers online and all these things. And like sometimes like I talk with them and I'm like, uh, really deep down, what's your passion? Sometimes it turns
Yeah.
out that like just like stay in boutique level or something is like more in line with what they want to do. Or I guess it's always about really thinking what connects with you, right? And like really
Yeah.
daring to be
I
small or
think,
big, whatever, right?
do you see that happens more? The aspiration to be maybe too big for their own good happens more with kind of brick and mortar or
No,
online.
for like I had for instance like a person who was starting an online boutique, and she just like she wanted to start a make it really big like one of these online retailers, and like after we talked a little bit more, it turned out that she actually has this niche kind of passion of like doing something
Oh,
very specific.
interesting.
Yeah, very
So that wasn't even
specific.
really her passion.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind
Yeah.
of like I guess sometimes people get inspired. It's like, oh, dreaming big is great. I am a total
Yeah.
proponent of that. But like, if you look around too much, like what others are doing, it's not always big that makes you happy. Like it's just like finding
Yeah.
that what makes you happy, right? Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
Like I'm obsessed with the whole sustainable tiny home movement. Like I want to build like buy a plot of land and have a little commune of
I love it.
tiny homes. Like build a resort that are all these like sustainable tiny homes on this like sustainable like just which is hilarious considering I live in New York City.
That
You
is
know,
so cool.
I think it's probably the New York City in me talking like that, where I'm like, oh my God, I want the extreme opposite of where I am right now sometimes. But at the same time, I think that there's a level of, understanding what your level of happiness needs to be
Mm-hmm.
and what you need to be happy.
Right, right. And you mentioned something before we went live on the interview too. Is like something that's your passion that you're pursuing right now. Is actually kind of breaking it down too, and like having your own balance. I get we shouldn't forget about that either. Was there something you wanted to share? you know,
Well,
yeah.
you were asking me kind of what are my goals and
Mhm.
dreams and aspirations right now, and I have been almost uneasy. There was actually a period of time where I had like an existential crisis a couple months ago. I
Oh.
mean, it literally was just like,
I'm
oh my
sorry.
God, I'm not doing enough. I'm
Mhm.
not being enough. I'm not dreaming big enough. I
Mhm.
mean, it was literally like an existential crisis
Oh.
happening.
Yeah.
And I realized that it was because for the first time in my life, I had life balance. Like this thing that I had been working towards so much, like,
Mhm.
my life just felt completely out of control for, you know, a decade or two. And suddenly here I was achieving the thing that I said that I wanted.
Yeah.
I was in excellent shape. I had, amazing quality time with my husband. I was actually connecting with friends like I hadn't in ages. I was traveling and I was cooking just like beautiful, amazing, healthy food all the time and, learning how to make my own almond milk and cashew cheese and like exploring vegan cooking. So anyhow, and suddenly I have this like existential crisis. I'm like, I've got to get my next big thing. This is like ridiculous. And suddenly I realized, no, actually, this might be what you're supposed to do right now. Like you're still doing good work. I mean, my motto in life is do good work and make shit happen. I'm still doing good work and making shit happen.
Yeah.
But I'm actually like have a life balance that is just foreign to me, and
so awesome.
It's allowing me to start focusing on, okay, so what's the next big thing? Sure, but what does that look like? I think I might train for a triathlon. I have a book that I've been wanting to write because I don't know if you know this. I was on the Katie Couric show.
Oh my gosh, how could I miss that? Congratulations. Yeah. That's amazing.
I was on the Katie Couric show talking actually about the child-free choice, the choice of whether or not to have children. And out of that, I realized how it's a very, very, I've always just thought of it as a very personal thing. Like it was just a personal decision that, I had and my husband had. And I realized how many people really struggle with this. And I thought, what if I did a book of people's stories about how they came to this decision and what the influences were, around social and financial and cultural, and then like actually use some of that information to create some data points that could then be used for possibly developing some type of service or organization that would support these people that made this choice in their elder life, which is something that I'm obsessed with because I've chosen not to have children. I'm like, oh my God, who's going to be my advocate when I'm in a nursing home? So I've been thinking about that a lot. And so now I'm thinking, yeah, it's not that I'm just sitting back doing nothing. Like it's given me headspace and time to be able to start thinking about what inspires me and what will I do to inspire others. So it's okay. I'm making my peace with it.
That is really cool, and I've found that that kind of influence too. That sometimes we just have this devil on our shoulders, like you're not doing enough. You're like I'm always battling that, and I'm never happy with what I do. It's like I have to actually consciously say, no, it's okay. I did a lot of things this week, so it's so amazing that you have this balance and like yay to that, and like I'm really happy for you.
Oh, but like I said, I had an existential crisis for a while. I was just like I could not turn off that voice. It was relentless.
How did you do it? How did you you just woke up one day and it's like, it's okay, shut up.
No. I wish I could say that I was able to achieve that on my own. It was, I think, a couple of things. Yeah, obviously some self-reflection and like the art of giving yourself permission occasionally. But it was also the people in my life, like, a really good friend of mine basically was like, your work is that, like your purpose in life, because I kept talking about, I've got to like find my purpose again. I've lost my purpose, my greater purpose in life. And she says, no, your greater purpose is always there. Like you are always a stand for other people.
Yeah.
You're always, there for people. You're always ready to, take on a challenge with somebody. Like you're just, like you are that person for so many people. And I realized as a friend of mine was I had two friends that were both going through something unbelievably, unfathomably difficult in their life. And I was able to more than once just drop everything, fly to the West Coast and just be with them, do whatever it is that they needed. And I thought, man, if I was still all about me and my big purpose, this wouldn't be happening. And, she was right. She had to just remind me, like, your bigger purpose, at least right now or forever, is that, you are that person for people and for yourself, and that's okay. So it was good to talk to people about it. I think that, others know you so well. So when you think that you've lost sight of what your greater purpose is, sit down and have a conversation with the people that love you. They'll be more than happy to remind you how incredible you are and what you do for them on a daily basis.
Such a good inspiration. I'm
so
glad
cut yourself
that
slack.
I'm so glad that worked out for you.
Yeah.
And I'm so sad that I need to wrap up this interview soon because
it's been so much fun.
It's really exciting to hear you talk on your stories and experiences. But let's move to a 3-minute power support thing. Where I want to put the spotlight on you real quick, so we can give back to you and how we could support you and something that you're working on. Is there anything big dream if you think of 3 years from now or something like that, and can we help you, me and my readers, somehow to get there? Any resources or anything?
Well, I think that the more I say it out loud, the more it becomes a reality. The fact that I really would like to, and I don't know what's actually standing in my way of just doing it, is start to collect people's stories, people that are old, young, gay, straight, that have faced that choice of whether or not they're going to have children, and the decisions that they make and what the influences were. And I think that my next step is going to be to create an outline for them to tell their story that hits on some specific points, that would help to provide those specific data points around cultural, financial, emotional. And so I'd like to start, if you know somebody that is either in the midst of making that choice, or struggles with that choice, or made that choice successfully in their life and with a partner, or not with a partner, then I'd love to know about it. I'd love to start collecting these stories.
Cool stories. Cool. Everybody, you heard that. If you know anybody, let's let Darcey know. That sounds like a really great book project. I love it. Cool. Let me see if there was something else in that power quiz that I wanted to ask you.
You asked about 3 years.
Yes,
and 3 years.
3 years from now. Do you have a big dream or vision of something you want to do? And I don't want to push you back into your crisis.
I have an existential crisis thanks to this question. I think that the goal of me, I'll be somewhat honest and selfish, the goal of me wanting to write this book, isn't because I am an advocate for people not having kids. By no means should anyone. I think that if you choose not to have children, you have to do something else that puts life into your community. Because if you're not putting little ones with excitement and energy into your community, then you either need to be fostering or mentoring or doing a service or something. And so for me, I want to continue to be doing something that puts life into my community. And one of the things that I will admit selfishly that I worry about is my elder care. I mean, you can have all the money in the world and go to a great nursing home, but if there's not somebody there that's an advocate for you, and I'm starting to think about, the childless population is growing 10% every year. There's going to be a whole lot of us that are going to need to answer this question, and I'd like to find some way to alleviate that stress. And so in 3 years, I would like to have some idea of what that is going to look like and how it will impact a community.
That's very interesting. So maybe that's kind of also an outreach sort of to anybody who's interested in that topic. Maybe you want to I don't know, brainstorm or chat with others or.
Well, I think that other cultures around the world do it better than we do here. So I think there's a lot to learn from other cultures. So if you are of a culture that most other cultures actually, they respect their elders and they bring them into their family and wouldn't dream of sticking them in a nursing home. So we've got that obstacle to look at, that oddity to look at. But if you know of other cultures that are doing it and doing it well, I'm interested in researching them.
Cool. Throw that out there to all the readers as well. If I think of something, I'll let you know. Sounds good.
Okay.
Cool. And a quick view to my readers, to give them something to walk away with today, some inspiration, what they could do for their own life. I have a few questions on that. So, can you help others, inspire them to, when they're just starting out? Like, can you share a challenge from the beginning of your career as inspiration, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, wow.
You know, something small or...
There's sort of two things. I'll try and make them brief and connected. One is that, and this wasn't so much of a problem for me, but I've seen it in other entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, is that they worry a lot about the fact that they have this like really amazing idea, this like blueprint idea, and they're worried that if they put it out there, someone's going to steal it.
Oh, yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, yes, that can happen. It can, and it probably will, because if it's a good idea, it's going to get copied. But making your brand so distinctive of what it is that you do and so memorable, people will remember the original brand. They will always know that this is a copy of that. So making sure that your brand purpose, your brand promise, everything about it is so spot on and solid, like really solid, that that when people think of whatever this is that you have created, they're going to think of you first. So don't be afraid. Like, it's going to happen. Also, of course, there are ways that you can protect yourself. I mean, there are patents and copyrights. Copyright the heck out of everything, and it's not hard to do. You can look that up online. It doesn't really cost you anything. But don't be afraid to like put it out there. If you don't, it's going to live in your head. Nobody ever gets it. Nobody ever gets to enjoy it. So,
totally
and then the other thing, I think that, my husband was always so good at reminding me that whenever I faced a challenge, he's like, you can do this. Like, just like, don't overthink it too much. There's, fall into it. I mean, fall into it. Sheryl Sandberg had a lot to say about that, but I think that, don't overthink it too much. Don't question yourself too much. I mean, I would get myself so worked up thinking, oh my God, I don't have an MBA, and I'm not this, and I wasn't that, and I don't know, I'm not good with numbers, and I'm not. Hire somebody that's good with numbers and let yourself focus on what it is that you do. Don't sweat the small stuff. There's somebody out there that can do anything that you don't know how.
Right. I love it. And like kind of like spinning it into a positive sort of thought. It's like, interesting challenge. What can we do about this? Right?
Yeah.
This is kind of...
Be your own consummate optimist.
I guess we can always try that too. Super cool. So I'm about to wrap it up, but like, do you have like one small thing or something that you'd say like people could do to walk away today, like do right now, like take out the pen and paper maybe and do something, like what would that be?
I would have to go back to the defining what problem are you solving and who you're solving for. I cannot tell you how many brands I have worked with that I've pushed the pause button and said, do not do another thing until you are certain that you know what this is.
Yeah.
Between that and a rockin' solid, awesome elevator pitch. Like, you should be able to say what it is that you do in 60 seconds or less so that somebody has a tangible, like, clear walk away and it's memorable. And like have a memory hook. It sounds cheesy to say, but honestly, if you can't say exactly what it is that you do and impart some little bit of wisdom so that somebody walks away and they remember, like, just because there's nothing that sort of deflates confidence in someone when they ask what it is that you do or what does your company do, and you sort of hem and haw well, it's kind of like, it's sort of, we kind of do, it's a little bit, remove all those words out of your vocabulary. Don't use them. Like, you want to bang that thing out with like clear, concise confidence, because it builds confidence in you. It's going to build confidence in them. But if you waver or flaky about it, they're just going to walk away and go, oh, I guess I got it.
Right. And they don't want to put in the effort of thinking of what you do.
What do you do? Who do you do it for? And how can they get it?
Awesome. Awesome. Such a great advice. And thank you so much for all your advice. Like the great examples. I love it. Super great conversation. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Darcey.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
Thank you. And where can find people you where can they find you online? It's on darceyhoward.com, is that right?
Yep, Darcey. My mom fancied herself quite the speller. DarceyHoward.com.
Okay, super cool. Everybody check out her website. And like if you don't follow my Startup Branding Insider yet, there's a sign up link gonna be below. I'd love to see you there. Thank you, Darcey. Many greetings to New York, and all the best to you. And I hope we stay in touch. It's so exciting to hear from you. Thanks for
You bet.
everything.
Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.